Well, the amazing twist to some of this is the 3 accounts that was opened, and then you see the names, the figures, the documents, who owns it. And we ask ourselves, there's supposed to be regulation. How did all of this go on? I mean, of course, we had the previous guest talking about the bank's involvement in all of this. They're supposed to report a certain amount. And now we understand that, according to our guest, that they can even advise you on how to break these things so that they can get those funds. Are we losing it entirely in the financial sector?
In fact, it's scandalous that First Bank, UBA, and Fidelity Bank opened accounts contrary to the provisions of the Know Your Customer manual issued by the Central Bank of Nigeria. In banking, the basic thing about account opening is know your customer. And when it comes to opening accounts for parastatals, government agencies, the guideline makes it clear that you must find out, one, get an assurance that you are dealing with the right persons in the establishment who are duly authorized to handle financial transactions. There was a clear breach of that. And it's clear that that those 3 banks, I can't understand. We're talking about 3 billion in UBA, 8 billion in Fidelity Bank, 10 billion in a First Bank. How did these banks receive those kind of monies? And the accounts were opened in the name of the younger brother of Abdurrashid Maina, the chairman of the task force, which was supposed to reform the system. It is amazing. In fact, you know what is the impunity of the whole thing that is so annoying. How will UBA, how will Fidelity Bank, First Bank justify or explain? You open an account with that kind of money, and you in the name of an individual.
I mean, but even without this coming to this probe, does it mean that who's supposed to supervise and regulate all of this? So if it didn't come to the fore here, we would not have heard of it?
You know, and that one makes you wonder, how much more don't we know? How much more is going on that we don't know about? That makes you wonder, how much more is going on in this country like this? You see, the Nigerian banking system, it is unfortunate that even with the so-called reforms, because the reforms, I still remember when the present CBN governor was being confirmed by the Senate. You invited me to this same program. I remember the question you asked them, whether the governor is from Kano State, the Minister of Planning then, Dr. Shamtudi, is from Kano State, the Minister of Finance then, Mukhtar, is from Kano State, and you mentioned the issue of Kafara, and I was the one that was defending to say, oh, no, it's competence and all that, but I'm saying here publicly that I don't know what the central bank governor is doing. He has desecrated the office.
Are they supposed to do something with this?
Yeah, the so-called reforms are a failure. Although, you see, to be fair, the truth is that, the whole system is in a state of flux, including the banking system. You can comment a few things that have happened. For example, the corporate governance issues that are better than what they used to be in terms of. But see, you can still see that it's a problem of enforcement. This account was not opened yesterday. Has First Bank not been examined since this account was opened? Has UBA not been examined by the CBN since these accounts were opened? Has Fidelity Bank not been examined? How will Central Bank explain that such huge amounts were in the name of an individual in these banks? The auditors have audited the accounts, approved the accounts. Central bank examiners have gone to examine those, and nobody picked it up. Nobody picked it up that something is wrong here. There was no red flag.
Are the anti-graft agencies working? I mean, the ICPC is supposed to be, even if the EFCC is not really paying attention to this, but the area of the civil service, for instance, the ICPC is supposed to be really involved in all of this. But it appears they're not, because Ishola said to me, said that several billions were spent without recourse to the account books. I mean, 3.6 billion was spent without any entry in any account books.
The same, and I commend that man. If I know we're talking about this, the need for whistleblowers, I thank God for someone like Mr. Tony Shola. I applaud his courage. I applaud his integrity. I applaud his boldness. But for him, we would not have known all that has happened. Now, the thing is that the chairman of that committee came out to say that if I hear that they disclosed that even the FCC and the ICPC, Maina was boasting to say that he has included them in because he was using EFCC officials, ICCP officials to carry on what he was doing. We saw him include the name of Lamode, the present EFCC chairman, in the list of those that were supposed to go and verify 20 people in Atlanta, although the man it's clear that he didn't travel. But the point is that
were paid.
The monies were paid. Lamode says he has no account in First Bank, and I believe it. But you see, that's the issue of impunity. You are a thief. You have stolen public money, and you are the one pontificating that you discover that there's a £6 million account in London, and that there were ghost workers. When you are the main, they send you to clean up the system. If I'm surprised that the man is not already under arrest. I'm surprised that he's not already being tried.
Yeah, but the other aspect of this is that there's this EFCC Act. I think that I can't remember what they call it now. That if you deposit a certain amount of money as a corporate establishment,
it
must be reported to the EFCC.
Money laundering, yes. You see, that is why there's been compromise, there's been failure at various levels. Whenever the anti-money laundering Act is very clear. When you make a deposit as an individual above a certain threshold, 1 million naira.
1 million naira for individuals.
10 million. 10 million for corporates. There must be a report to the FCC, what do you call this? FMI. Anyways, there's a unit. I'm trying to remember the name now. There's a unit. It used to be between CBN and EFCC. They now carved it out as a separate body where you report and monitor those things. That's why I said, how could the compliance officers in First Bank, in UBA, every bank has a compliance officer. There's a chief compliance officer in each bank, which is supposed to be responsible for this anti-money laundering reporting. At every branch, there's also a compliance officer. How did the compliance officers in the branch where the account was opened at the head office not capture this kind of accounts, this kind of lodgement, especially when the documentation was not proper? Because this is public sector funds. The KYC, the know your customer procedures, were totally flouted. How can you bring government funds and open an account in the name of an individual? How did the money come? How did the money flow into the bank? This is why it is scandalous. I would suggest, please invite the MD of First Bank to your program.
But
invite the MD of Fidelity Bank.
Aren't these the
invite the MD of UB. Let them come and explain to Nigerians how that happened.
No, but aren't these the questions that the Senate should be asking, in this particular probe? Because it could be, there could be just one streak. There was a reason for that particular move, as it were. Or no reason whatsoever can justify that move as far as you're concerned.
Makwe, good question. But as one who has been a banker and one who consults for banks, there is no conceivable reason I can think of why a public sector organization, a task force that has that kind of money, would open an account in the name of an individual, not even the name of the task force.
Is it not possible it was the individual that came to open the account?
Well,
so for his personal
funds.
Okay. If somebody brings 3 billion naira to open a personal account, there's also a process for that. You can bring 3 billion. Nobody.
Maybe he didn't bring 3 billion. Maybe he didn't bring 1 million. Maybe the money was spread over time.
Yeah. Well, if you have for you to over that period, for you to have built up a balance of 10 billion naira, even if how much will you have to lodge each day, that be less than 1 million that you have to be under the radar. You see, the threshold is such that you cannot conceivably put together 10 billion in an account over a reasonably short period of time. Without, how will you break it that it is not possible. So the point is that somebody in UBA, somebody in Fidelity Bank, somebody in First Bank must have either the person compromised or gave a waiver. Let the person explain how that happened. You mentioned the issue of the Senate committee. is it not embarrassing and scandalous that even now the Senate says that committee's work is over, such that the House of Reps committee is protesting that they were not consulted? So what are we talking about? You see, this culture of impunity is a problem in this country. The temerity to commit fraud, knowing that nothing will happen. Is this the first time we are talking about a probe?
Well, now we hear that who knows if it will be held behind closed doors, the subsequent sessions.
Why should it be held behind closed doors? Is the money private money? The money is our money, Nigerian money. There are pensioners that are dying every day, and then you say you want to do... Why do I... This thing should be televised, just like you televise the subsidy probe. Please, we need to see this televised every day, how often they are going to do it. We shouldn't allow this to be settled as a family affair like others.
Isn't it where civil society is supposed to come in and then also put in a word or two about these matters?
I'm happy you are discussing it, because the very fact that I'm talking about it means that they cannot blow this away like they've done in the past. I'm happy that the conference of Nigerian political parties has come out to say that, look, no, this cannot be allowed to stand. I'm happy that the House of Reps, I'm even happy that the House of Reps chairman of their own committee was bold enough to say that the Senate did not consult them, and that they won't accept that, and they are going to start. I think they are going to start their own probe this week. So you see, I'm happy. You see, this country cannot be the same again after all that happened about Occupy Nigeria, and Nigerians have been awakened, and people know that there's someone that is going. We're talking about a situation where 18,000 naira is the minimum wage. Some states are not able to pay it. The federal government is yet to implement it fully. And then somebody is, you went to spend 460 million naira to go and verify non-existent pensioners in Nigeria, and then in Atlanta where you saw 20 people. It is so annoying. It is so annoying. It is so annoying